Heather Gray, the Lyme Boss here. I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and bioenergetic practitioner. And maybe you feel like crap. And that's why you need to listen to these high-level experts that I have on my show every week, whether it's Lyme disease, mold toxicity, autoimmune, mental health issues, weight, cancer. You fill in the blank. I guarantee you, you will find something inspiring, entertaining, something that'll give you hope, practical advice that you can take home at the end of every episode. I highly thank you for joining us, and you're going to just love this next guest. Today, we're talking to Miss Katie Beecher. Woo! Welcome, Katie.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. But she is healing through a medical intuitive. And this is actually a skill I'm trying to cultivate more myself because I find it fascinating. And it's a little outside of the box. And most people with, chronic disease, Lyme disease, we've always had to think a little outside of the box in order to get better. And so I kind of bring a little bit more of the controversial woo-woo side, but it's not, a lot of this stuff is based in quantum physics, it's so without further ado, so I stop butchering this, let's bring in Miss Katie here and tell us a little bit, like, how did you get started becoming a medical intuitive?
First of all, I just love everything you just said. So that was awesome. Could not agree more. I have always been like from the beginning of time, from going back as long as I can remember. I've always known that there were other beings. I've always felt guided. I never really could explain exactly what it was. I kind of thought it was God, but I also knew that there were voices guiding me, and that I was picking up people who were not living anymore, and all kinds of weird things. Knew what people were thinking, really tuned into other people's energy, and always felt older than I was, if that makes any sense. So there was always kind of this foundation of weird, which I really liked, but had no one to talk to about it. And so growing up in a lovely dysfunctional family, like so many others of us, I developed an eating disorder, which turned out to be one of the best things that ever could have happened to me, because this was divine intervention, I'm convinced. When I was 16, I called our pediatrician, came home one day, and I had decided that I was going to end my life because I just couldn't live that way anymore. And then I was like, something just made me say, you know what, I'm going to stick around. And I called our pediatrician, didn't tell my parents or anybody. And he hooked me up with a Jungian psychologist. Carl Jung is a very, very cool individual. A lot of symbolism and connecting to intuition and things. So the core of the therapy wasn't really addressing the eating disorder as much as it was addressing things like self-love and connection to intuition, and getting in touch with my weird psychic abilities, and getting to the root emotional causes, and all the like really, really deep stuff that creates all this disorder in the first place, instead of just band-aiding with trying to be in more control, or control you eat and all that kind of stuff, which doesn't work. So that was kind of the start of my spiritual awakening and the whole process. Then I became a licensed counselor, but I always worked really intuitively. So I let my guides, intuition, whatever you want to call it, kind of tell me what I needed to do with people. And I found that I knew all kinds of things about people that they had not told me, and knew things about their body and their past and their family. And even now, like, my readings are all about every single thing going on in a person's life and that used to happen. So it's literally anything that can impact you in any way. A little crazy, but so
I love it. And I love how you brought up the whole eating disorder kind of being the gifts, right? Like, that's kind of, I love even talking about the gifts of Lyme disease, and a lot of people who aren't there yet, a lot of people who are stuck in victim, right? When you start talking about the gift of these diseases, they come at you with teeth bared, right? And they want to hit you.
Oh my goodness, they really do. And I just think it's so fascinating how people will come to me for, on the surface, something like Lyme or neurological symptoms. I mean, I work with every kind of possible thing there is. So, whatever the thing is. And then my guides reveal that, oh, their marriage is in trouble, or they can't set boundaries. or they let people take advantage of them, or they hate their job, or
You
they
literally just gave me goosebumps head to toe, just like whoa, washed over me.
and it's like, so I teach people, like I learned with my eating disorder, talk to your symptoms, write to your symptoms as friends, ask them why they're there.
Mm.
And I just working with, somebody earlier, and they're like, we brought up that their illness was an excuse for them to say no and to not do things they didn't want to do, and for self-care. And I'm like, so let's make it so you listen to your intuition, you listen to your authenticity, you use your voice, and then you don't need those symptoms, you don't need to be sick anymore, and you can have a great life. So it's so fascinating. And you're right, a lot of people just, they don't want to hear that. The changes that they need to make in their life feel so overwhelming, and they're so afraid of confrontation, and they're still using these old coping mechanisms that used to serve them that are now completely fucking up their life, right? So it's a big change, and it's scary, but like, we all grow through pain, and that's hopefully less. You don't need as much as you do once you realize it, but yeah, that's a lot of the process.
I don't remember a whole lot of, I believe in God and absolutely am a huge lover of Jesus, but I'm not a big fan of traditional, big box churches. But I remember one regular sermon, and the pastor said, you don't grow up on easy street. And that's like stuck with me over the years, because it's so true, right? We, how all the cliches, right? How is a diamond formed? Under pressure. If you help a butterfly out of its chrysalis, it will actually die, because the wings won't be strong enough for it to fly. It has to use that pressure to get out of the chrysalis. So again and again and again, and for some reason, we're so wired that things are supposed to be easy, and it's not supposed to be this hard, and blah 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 blah. And then they give up, right before the good stuff comes.
True. And one of the things somebody said to me a million years ago, it's stuck with me, I still think about it every day, is that pain might be the greatest gift that you can give someone. So
I would tell that to my kid.
right, yeah, there you go. So instead of feeling like you have to step in or suck up people's energy and absorb it and help them and do all this stuff, you can care, but like playing God and getting in the way of their crap and making life easy when it needs to be hard and all that, like, people don't realize how important that is.
Oh my gosh, I'm reading the book right now called The Obstacle is the Way. Have you read that?
I have not.
It is so good. But yeah, I mean, it is literally example after example after example after example after, from Helen Keller to Teddy Roosevelt. I didn't know that Theodore Roosevelt was his asthma was so bad as a kid that he almost had fatal asthma attacks every night of his life. And then what he did to overcome that and strengthen his body and, become this amazing, inspiring leader, that Abraham Lincoln had crushing depression.
Yes.
I had no idea, but I mean, it's just the obstacle is the way, like exactly what we're talking about right now. Again, I get goosebumps. And for those of you who are watching, like Miss Katie here, her eyes are so sparkly, and you could just tell she is so lit up by this conversation. I'm just enjoying it so much. But so this is where I get a little stuck, and it's funny because as soon as I was thinking it, I had some intuition pop in. But I was never one of those that grew up hearing these things and knowing these things. So is this something that you can cultivate as you get older, or is it kind of you either got it or you don't?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all absolutely have intuition. It's just kind of a higher voice. And even so, talking about medical intuition, right? It's something that you want to learn or whatever, but we use it all the time on ourselves, on our kids. If you have a stomach ache, you have to literally figure out, okay, is it something I ate? Is it, maybe, is it emotional? Is there something going on, that's upsetting me, that's going to my stomach? What do I need to do? Do I need to have some crackers? Do I need to not eat? Do I need to throw up? Do I need to, go to the hospital? So all of that is really medical intuition when your kids are sick, right? You have to figure out what's going on. That's using medical intuition. So what I do, I mean, I obviously take it to the extreme in my work and everything, but it's really not that woo-woo. If you think about the fact that we all have to be these kind of medical detectives in our own lives. And as a practitioner, with what you do, you probably already have so many of those skills honed in. And I've worked with like doctors or nurses or whatever, and we talk about this and they're like, well, it's just experience, because I've been around these people for so long, or I know what to look for. And I'm like, yes, but also the best practitioners I've worked with have been ones who are like, well, wait a minute, let's look at that. And let's think out of the box. And I haven't, listening to your patients, your clients, and being like, let's go with that and see see what happens. So
yeah, it's funny that you should say that. So I've only had 2 people on the podcast so far that have had he talks about gifts, right? And it was funny. There was one gentleman who spontaneously healed from Lyme disease. And I was getting, as I'm talking to him, ask him if he's got other gifts, ask if he's got other gifts. And he was he seemed a little on the conservative side, older. And I was like, no, I'm not going to ask if he's got gifts. He's going to look at me like I'm crazy. Like he's going to shoot me and think I'm some crazy witch. And it kept getting louder and louder. And finally I asked it and he lit up and he was like, oh yes, blah, 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 blah. So I'm having the same thing when I'm talking to you. I have ask her to do a mini reading. So I don't know if that's something that you're open to kind of showcase of what it is, so people who've never seen or heard this type of work, right? I'm obviously going to leave that completely up to you, and you don't have to make up your mind yet because we're actually going to go on a really quick commercial break. So when we come back, we'll dive deeper into Katie's work, how she works, and maybe we'll do a little mini reading. Who knows? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey there. I used to not be able to drink coffee. I always reacted to it horribly. It hurt my stomach. It made me over jittery and would inflame me and cause histamine issues. But not anymore. Since I started drinking Danger Coffee by Dave Asprey. It's his next level of coffees. He came out with Bulletproof, and now this is the next level up. So it is mold-free, toxin-free, and he infuses it with minerals and electrolytes. So unlike other coffees, they can actually pull minerals and electrolytes from your system because it's too acidic. It actually helps replenish those. And so I don't react to it at all. I get to have my bulletproof coffee with my MCC oil and my grass-fed butter, and I don't get the jitters, I don't get the crashes, and I love how focused and energized it makes me feel. Again, non-toxic, mold-free, infused with minerals and electrolytes. I absolutely love Danger Coffee. Make sure to check out my website, thelymeBoss.com. Go to the resource section and get yours. Welcome back, everybody. My gosh, this has been so fun so far. Like I'm just having a blast because I love bringing new, exciting people who are out of the box thinkers who are just doing really amazing things in this world. So, and Katie is no exception. So, if you didn't hear the first half of this, I highly go back and do that. But let's dive in deeper into how you work with folks and how all that comes about.
Yeah. So normally, while I am capable of doing I'm so sorry. Little mini things, and I'm happy to have you ask me a question, and we can absolutely do that. The way that I normally work is just with someone's name and age. I create a 4-page, really, really detailed report about their entire life. So emotional, physical, spiritual, positives, and also things that are difficult for them, or struggles that they're going through. Look at root causes, look at things that we can do to help with all that. I cannot diagnose. Anyone who does this work and diagnoses run, because that's not ethical or legal. It's not okay. So I do have people practitioners that recommend and things. And then I also create an intuitive soul painting. And I do. Okay. So for people watching, that's just one example, but they're all like really different. And sometimes they're animals, sometimes they're plants, sometimes they're people, sometimes they're, whatever. But all the colors mean things and the placement of things. And so it's a different and symbolic way of getting information from my guides, along with that written report too. And then we meet and I get more information from my guides as we talk. So and people come to me with all sorts of different things, not always problems. Sometimes they just want to learn more about connecting to intuition or their life purpose or other things. So it's really fun to get to work with so many different kinds of people.
That's absolutely incredible. It's just so damn cool. Tell us a little bit about some of your like favorite, like some of your favorite people that you've worked with, some of the coolest things that have kind of come through.
One of the coolest experiences I've had, I was working with a 5-year-old boy, um, didn't know anything about him except his name and age. And so I created this painting. And as I do the paintings, I literally just ask my guides for info. So we started with a color, then I started to see like an image. So they had me first grab some red, and I ended up making a fire truck, which is a very different kind of painting for me. And it had a really big ladder. There was like a big apartment building, really big ladder, and there was a fire in the apartment building. So, we showed the fire and the ladder and the firemen and all that kind of good stuff. And then I remember I wanted to show the hose on the side of the fire truck. And like, I actually am, like, I've been a, professional artist for a while, so it's not like I can't draw, but I was trying to draw this hose. And I remember just being like, what in God's name is happening with my hand? And I could just draw an S. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'm just doing what I'm told here, make it an S. And I'm thinking, is this Superman's fire truck? Like, what exactly is this? So met with his mom. He turned out to be autistic and nonverbal.
Mm.
And she said, when I saw your painting, I started bawling.
Mm.
This is like, yeah, it gave me goosebumps.
I've got goosebumps again.
Right. She said, right before I had him, we were in a severe apartment fire and I lost everything I had. And I totally gave up hope. And then I found out I was pregnant with my son. And she said he was literally like my savior. And it's only because of him that I had the strength to go on. And I want people to know like what a gift it is to have someone, even, to have someone with special needs, even though they can't talk. And she said, he literally is my Superman. And his middle name is Superman's middle name.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah. So I was like, what? I didn't even know Superman had a middle name, but apparently she does. And so she said, yeah, this is literally, my son's fire truck. And it literally is Superman's fire truck.
That's
And
incredible.
like completely blown away. So, through that, it opened up a whole series of discussions and things about her life that, traumas she had and things that she didn't even realize were impacting her and that's impacting her son. And so, yeah, that's one of my coolest stories.
That's absolutely incredible. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the medical intuitive type stuff. So like what kind of things have you helped people uncover?
Oh God, I mean, everything. Literally everything. I've been doing this for quite a while, but I work with, I do get Lyme people. I work with people who know what they have and want help healing, people who have a lot of mystery symptoms, who've been to 8 million practitioners and haven't gotten answers or help. Lately, I've been uncovering a lot of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is often misdiagnosed. Lyme and EDS are often, commonly misdiagnosed or confused with each other. And for people who don't know, it's a connective tissue disorder, which impacts the entire body, which incidentally, my daughter and I have. So I'm a guinea pig for my clients.
I remember back in the day that we always thought it was so cool, the people who were double jointed, right? The people who were double jointed, the people who were double jointed. I was like, oh, I wish I was double jointed. No. That's actually not a normal thing. That's actually kind of a telltale sign of oh my gosh, connective tissue disorder.
Yeah, totally. And like I do pole dancing and aerial arts. So me,
I was a pole dancer, but the other kind.
whatever works for you, right? But yeah, so for me, like being really flexible is also super cool. But I'm very prone to injuries and I've had some severe ones, because of the EDS. So, but literally, I mean, that's kind of one of the most gratifying things is when you can say, you know what, I can't diagnose you, but my guides are really getting this, and I can do a little bit of the mini screening, for EDS, and to have people be like, wow, no one's ever told me that before. I've been looking for answers for 10 years, and it took me till I was okay, well, last year. So I was 57 to get formally diagnosed finally with the EDS.
Shut up. You're in your late 50s?
I'm 58, yes.
I would have thought you were around the same age as me. I'm 45.
Okay, I love you. Thank you. So yes, doing exercising keeps me young, I have to say. But yeah, so for people to be able to say like, wow, this really resonates, and I finally feel like I'm on the right path, and I've created a letter that I wrote as a licensed counselor, basically with all these characteristics and saying, I've met with this person, I'm recommending they get evaluated and all this info. So because it's really hard to get evaluated. So I feel like, you know, I'm really helping people to then be able to get the help that they need and things like that. So that commonly happens is when people just really don't know what's going on emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And like working with someone who was having all these health things, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, let's talk about your marriage. So
What's
yeah.
some of the things? So I know like a lot of the demographic I work with, because they've been sick for so long, they've seen over 20 to 30 practitioners, they haven't gotten any answers, and they can have a tendency to be a little on the untrusting, leery side. Rightfully so. But what would you say when a person's going out to look to work with someone like yourself? Like, what are the things to look for, and what are some of the red flags, if you can tell us?
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think I don't know what made me work the way that I do with creating this report and painting and sending it before I meet with people and all that. But I think part of it was the credibility factor, in that I can't bullshit that report or the painting. And so when someone gets it, you know, and everybody always says they're super accurate, that's a sign that I've tuned in, and that really helps with the trust factor. If people are like, wow, all right, how does she know all this? And so that helps me a lot with that. Not that I don't get, understandably, people who are like, I don't want to get my hopes up, you know, and get let down again. It's a lot of that. And I've already spent a fortune, and I'm spending more money now. And like, what if this doesn't help and things? So I totally get that. One thing I would definitely look for, like I'm a licensed counselor as well as a medical and spiritual intuitive. So I do have that background, which isn't essential, but I do think it's really helpful to have some credentialing.
Absolutely.
People who don't claim to heal, because again, you can't claim to heal. Illegal and unethical, because that's
absolutely. It usually
right?
comes from the person themselves, not from their guide. Their guide should just be their guide. If they're claiming they're the ones healing you, that's absolutely a red flag. I accidentally got involved with a freaking practitioner that I met, who was a business coach as well, and she claimed that her energy program was the best energy program in the whole world and by far, and that people's lives actually get worse if they leave her program. Now that language didn't come out until 3 months into the program, but there was some language in the beginning that I should have seen a flag on the play, but I was kind of desperate on trying to get help to get my business up and going. And she claimed that she could, clear this energy and move these blocks and, blah, blah, blah. But then, halfway through it, and then she's talking about how this one person left the group and how his life's going to get worse now because he left the group. And she's the way. Anytime anybody claims to be the way,
yeah, or says you need a certain number of appointments, or has to like book you into a certain, like a program or continuing things, or with me it's like we have our appointment, we do a ton, we can get a ton done in one appointment. It's pretty amazing. And then if you want to make more appointments, cool. If not, that's cool too. And also people who, like, I believe that the best thing I can do for people is help them to trust and build their own intuition and healing abilities. And so I don't want anyone substituting my intuition for theirs. As it is, it's not yours, and things have to resonate with you. So if somebody comes across as them having to be the authority and usurping, your judgment and stuff like that, I think that's a huge red flag as well.
Thank you. So we're getting close to the end here. What are any kind of final nuggets you'd like to leave people with?
I'm sorry, what did you?
I said we're getting close to the end here. Do you have any final nuggets that you want to leave people with?
I wasn't sure what you said. Yes. So we all have intuition. Don't be afraid of your symptoms. Don't be afraid of pain. Try to embrace those as your friends. In my book, Heal from Lynn, there's tons of different techniques and things like that for learning how to be your own medical intuitive and work with other people as a medical intuitive and, trusting yourself. But don't give up and don't let other people or practitioners tell you, that there's something going on that you don't believe. And we really are our own best advocates and our own healers. So don't be afraid to venture into the muck.
I love the muck. That's where all the beauty lies, like the little lotus flower, right? There's another analogy, a little lotus flower growing out of the mud. But thank you, Katie, for everything. And then where can people find you?
So the easiest is my website, which is Katie Beecher, KatieBeecher, katiebeecher.com. I'm on Instagram and all the socials. But my website's the easiest, and you can make an appointment from there and all the things. So
absolutely incredible. And while you're at it, make sure to go visit thelimeboss.com as well and download your free cooking series, because health starts with what you put in your mouth. And so many people are so afraid of the kitchen, and I break it down in a very easy, yummy, delicious way. So make sure to go to thelimeboss.com and get your free downloaded video series cooking, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share, because that's how this information gets out into the world. If there's something that you heard that inspired you, please don't keep us a secret. Thank you again, Katie, for joining us. Everybody else, awesome. Have a healthy day. Make sure to share the love. Like, subscribe, and share. This information is potentially life-saving. Don't keep it to yourself. Make sure to help spread this message. And if you want to experience less pain, have a brain that works, and have more energy, it starts in the kitchen. Download my free 8-video cooking series, Real Cooking for Real Life. No more excuses. Take charge of your health. Start with the free video series at www.thelimeboss.com. That's LYME. Thank you. Have a blessed day.